So the big question is, how do entrepreneurs like us, who built our businesses from the ground up, who spend our own capital, who want to make a huge impact on this world while creating a great income? Those are the questions we will answer in this podcast. My name is David Asarnow, and welcome to Get Naked in Business. I'm glad you're here. Now it's time to get naked. What do you do when all signs are pointing to pack it in and quit? That's exactly what we're going to talk about today on Get Naked in Business. Welcome back to another episode of Get Naked in Business. This is David Asarnow, and I am very excited for our guest today. Now, the way that I met him was about 4.5 years ago, and I went to ClickFunnels to get certified, and in the front of the room, Russell had his guy. Now, by his guy, if anyone's ever seen any of Russell's videos, I mean, they are magnetic. They just sort of pull you in. It tells a story like you wouldn't believe. And Brandan was there telling us about how to tell a story. So, by the way, welcome to Get Naked in Business, Brandan.
Thanks for having me, David.
Thanks for getting naked with me.
I can't say I've ever done this before, but let's give it a try.
Let's give it a try. Now, you really are. You're magnificent at what you do on the video side of things. In fact, you do have a video production studio. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about that and some of the challenges and problems that you've overcame in launching out a company. So you have a successful, video production company, and yet you've now launched out Live Pigeon. Now, and it sounds to me like you filled a problem that Russell was having, and that's why you created this.
Absolutely. So it was interesting because it was 4 years ago. In fact, I bet I met you probably 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably 5 years. It was probably 5 years ago.
But what's interesting about that is at the time, I remember Russell had me come in and film one of his Inner Circle events. And at the front of the room, there were two guys talking about this new thing that they were able to do, where they were taking their pre-recorded videos, basically videos that have already been edited, and they were able to push them live to Facebook. And I'm sitting there filming this event, and I just perked up. Like, that sounded to be like that is just a really cool concept to me, to be able to take videos, because that's what I do, right? I'm basically creating so many videos for customers and clients that how cool is it that we can actually take that and then push them live to Facebook. And so that was my 4 year ago journey, which was trying to figure out how to do this. And then fast forward, I was at another of Russell's Inner Circle meetings, learning from all these people who are coming in and networking. And basically this guy said, hey, if you have an idea for a software, like, we can help you make that possible. And I remember afterwards, when he was done speaking, I went up to him and I said, oh my gosh, I'm sitting there at the back of the room. The hair on my arm just raised. And I don't know if any of you have had that experience where an idea that you've had just hits you. And anyway, I just happened to be in an area of total frustration with trying to use this software to try to get these videos to go live. It was Russell's birthday, and this would have been 4 years ago. We were trying to get one of his videos to go live, and it was just both me and John Parks trying to figure out how to get this to work, how to get this to go. And just out of frustration, that's where this software came from, Live Pigeon. So 3 years ago is when we actually launched Live Pigeon, and it's been an interesting journey, and I can't wait to tell you more about it. So,
well, let's talk about an interesting journey, because so many people, especially coming from in the funnel hacking world, so many people expect overnight, instantaneous success. You put it out there, you launch it, and all of a sudden, everyone rushes in. Is that what happened with Live Pigeon?
No, absolutely not. But you know what's interesting? I thought the same thing. If I build it, they'll come, right? We've heard this over and over, Field of Dreams, right?
Yes.
And it's interesting too, because I've been working around Russell now for 6 years. And even when he first brought me in and to learn about this funnel concept and this world of just kind of online marketing, you kind of hear it, you can kind of absorb it, but until you're actually in the driver's seat and you're trying to get the vehicle to go, it's an interesting one. And I've also heard people say, well, you need to talk about it before you actually create the thing. But some of us are holding our idea to our chest. We don't want to really tell anybody because it's kind of our baby, right? We don't want necessarily people to be putting it down or inflating it up yet because, but you might tell a few people, right? But at the initial stage. But where I'm going with that is, I just remember having this idea and I was like, man, I just remember that initial feeling that I had, and I wanted to see where this was going to go. But at the end of the day, when we launched, it was almost crickets. There wasn't a whole lot of traction. And to be honest with you, it's been a struggle for the last 3 years getting this to go. We've had a few customers. I would say when we first, okay, so let me back up. When we first launched, we launched on National Pigeon Day 3 years ago, which is June. Yep. So it's June 13th. And I remember we launched and everything was going good. We had a good launch. We did the Dream 100. We sent out a bunch of packages. Inside the packages, I sent a can of Red Bull was the first one I did because Red Bull gives you wings. I'm just trying to piggyback off of any time an entrepreneur looks at a can of Red Bull, maybe I can get them to think about pigeons as well, right? I was just trying different things. The second package that we sent out were slingshot pigeons that just had our branding on it. And of course, there's stories and letters that go with these packages. The third one was a remote control pigeon and with a video card asking for them to promote. And I thought, hey, I'm just going to go after people who actually have an audience, who are actually like influencers, and I'm going to get them to take my message and just spread it out to the world. And that to me was very eye-opening as well, because guess what? As much as your product might be amazing or the service that you have is amazing, if you can't get even people to even talk about it or promote it, it's not going to go anywhere.
Sure.
And so again, it was just interesting that we launched and it was like a few people signed up. And then Facebook, actually, our whole software is backed off of Facebook.
Yes.
And in August, they went in front of Congress, and everyone probably remembers this, but Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg had to go in front of Congress. And then after that, they ended up changing their API. So we lost the ability. We couldn't go live with our software. We were completely at Facebook's mercy because our software piggybacks off of their software.
How about YouTube?
So anyway,
though? You also work with YouTube. We
do now, but at the time when we first launched, we only were Facebook. Okay. And so for those that are listening that might not have context, so the whole idea of Live Pigeon is it's a software that allows you to take a video that you already have recorded, you upload it to our server, our service, and then you just schedule the time you want it to go live, and it carries it to Facebook and pushes it to Facebook Live. So your video that was pre-recorded will actually show up as a live video on Facebook. And yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question then. There are other services or softwares that say that they do similar type things. Why Live Pigeon? Why did you create that?
You bet. Well, at the time, there wasn't many options out there. There was a free software called OBS, but me being a video professional, it was still super difficult for me to even learn how to do it. I remember I was like, oh, I know, I'm going to create a course. So I created an 1.5-hour training on how to use OBS. And I thought, you know what? David has all the time in the world. He's going to sit and learn this software or how to use this software,
not happening.
And it's super hard to use. You have to go and like get a stream key from Facebook, plug it in. Anyways, it's a mess. And at the end of the day, you just want a solution that you can plug in and it just works.
Just like that.
Yep. And so at the end, and really when I first had the idea, that's what we did. I said, okay, our minimal product is, I don't want customers to see what a stream key is. And for those listening, you might be thinking, I don't even know what a stream key is.
I don't know what a stream key is.
And guess what? It doesn't matter. You don't have to know, right? It's because our software fixes that. And all we wanted to do is to automatically play the video at a certain time and have it end at a certain time. I mean, that was the software. That was the idea. And anyway, so that's what we set out to create, and that's what we did. So after Facebook ended up shutting down the API or closing out the ability for developers to develop off of their system, we didn't get back up and running till October. And so that to me was it was very eye-opening, because I realized that our whole business was backed off of just Facebook alone, that during that time we were also developing for YouTube, because we needed another thing to stand on, so that if one thing ever left, then we can at least still be in business. Because so what we ended up doing is we paused everyone's accounts. We didn't charge anybody during that time. As soon as October hit and we got our API back, we turned it back on. And I want to say we've hung around, let's say 40 customers, 25 to 40 customers. And then it's just been a slow, like I said, just trying to get in front of people. Because like I said, if no one knows you're there, and we've heard that so we just did a big launch recently, and I keep hearing from people, I didn't even know that this existed. So if we don't get our message or our service out in front of people to let them know what we're doing, then no one knows what we're doing.
But so the interesting thing, you and I spoke a year and a half ago about this, and I totally forgot. I totally forgot until the other day when a client of mine was asking for the capability to do this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, I forgot. Brandan said that he was doing this, and we talked about it. So it also shows that even the people that know you, people that like you, if you don't continually put out what you're doing in front of them, they have no idea what you're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm super grateful that you reached out, and that's why we're on this call today. So,
and that's why we're here sharing this today. And the fact of the matter is, you're in process right now. You had a concept. You have something that fills it. Other people don't know that you have a lot of different connections that people can go, and it's not just Facebook and YouTube. And when I'm working with our clients, we're talking about going live. We're talking about syndicating their content. We're saying, you have certain content that you want to go live on Facebook, certain on YouTube. You may want to do it a little bit differently. And how can you get it out there at the same time? And we just tell them to do it. Now they can live pigeon it. So they can have the pigeon give it some wings and help it fly out there. I think one of the cool things with you being willing to come on and share this is it shows that as an entrepreneur, yes, you have a successful video production company. Yes, you and your team still do a lot of the ClickFunnels and Russell things. You're like his personal person. When he needs something done right, he goes to Brandan, right? I get that. I know that. That's how I think of you. And by the way, I was telling some of my clients today on one of our training calls that, hey, all those video tips that I give you all the time with your iPhone, I learned them from this guy, Brandan, and I'm interviewing him today. For his new company, you guys are going to want his software. But I think one of the cool things in you sharing this, it shows that if you want something to work, you've got to make it work. It's not a field of dreams. It's making sure that you have a product, and it's a product that people want. And then once you know that they want it, how do you get in front of them? So, and so that way, once they use it, they want to continue using it and keeping it. But so I think that's really important. And you and I were talking, I think before we went live, about so many people think it's, they build these field of dreams and in this world. So what was the biggest, did you ever think that it wasn't going to make it, that you weren't going to do it?
Absolutely. And if you don't mind, I'll get a little vulnerable, but it's interesting because, what's fascinating to me is I go back, the hair on my arm right now is raised. Just thinking about that initial idea that I had and how I felt, that is what has propelled me to see this through. And it is interesting because it is, it's personal. It's funny how like a software idea can be so personal. But, you know, I've been, like I said, been working on this for 3 years, and I was trying to focus on our video production company to basically pay for Live Pigeon. And it really wasn't generating that much money. I mean, even at 40 customers, like, I remember, so what's fascinating is you fast forward to the end of April, my wife was like, hey, we need to have a conversation. And I knew what that conversation meant. And I knew that she wanted us to close down Live Pigeon. And that was the ultimatum. I knew it was coming. We only had 25 customers back at the end of April. And, you know, the overhead that we have for these servers and for what our system does, our software does, it's expensive. We have overhead, right? And when you're not making ends meet on that, I'm trying to out earn it on my other business to try to, you know, out earn my stupidity, if you will, right?
I don't know if stupidity, but you're funding your dream.
Absolutely. But my dream isn't going anywhere. And I'm starting to feel almost like a gambler, need to go to Gamblers Anonymous or something, right? This concept that we're chasing after this desire to try to make our money back. You know, I don't know how many people are listening have sunk hundreds of thousands of dollars into something, and all you want to do is to make your money back. And guess what? You're not even guaranteed. That's the craziest part about being an entrepreneur. Like, we have this idea, we have this feeling, we pursue it in the hopes that we're doing right by it to then hopefully maybe be able to be, you know, successful with it, whatever that might mean. What I've come to learn on this is, instead of going and get my MBA, I am basically investing in myself. I'm testing this stuff out. I'm trying it. You know, we sent out, I think our mailing of the 3 packages originally cost $6,000 to do, you know, and then I'm even paying for video production, even though I own a video production company, but we're trying different things. So we're trying animated videos, you know, and that I think was like just over $5,000 to do that. I mean, all this money is going out in all these different things because we're just testing and trying, right? Like, and I think Garrett White says it best, right? Where we shouldn't be trying to hit home runs every single time. It's just, what could I be doing today to get on base? What's something that I can do to progress my business just a little bit forward? And what I've really loved about that is, during this COVID-19, this whole downturning of the economy, what's been fascinating, or everything going on shutdown, my wife reached out and said, hey, we need to have a conversation. I wasn't willing to have that conversation yet. And we just had an influencer make a video on YouTube. And I said, can you give me until May 15th? Like, give me until May 15th, then let's have this conversation. And again, I felt like is that same thing, right? Like, let me just put a little bit more money in and let's see if this thing will pay out, you know? And what's interesting is that video hit, and as of today, so that would have been May, and we're sitting almost July. So let's say almost 2 months later, we've got 140 paying customers right now. And we finally have hit profitability with our software. So like, we're not in the negative on our monthly expenses. So that, to me, it's crazy that a pandemic has actually breathed life into this. And if we want to talk about traffic for a minute, just the people that are coming in to use it, it's been interesting. I never thought that churches would be like our client right now, but we are seeing a lot more churches coming in to use it because churches have been shut down. They've been going live. They're trying to figure out how they can get their churches online. We have, doctors using this. We have some teachers using this. We have entrepreneurs, business owners. There's all these people that are using the software, but where we're seeing a really big intake right now is churches, of all things. So I share this, we're getting vulnerable here. We're getting naked. Like I said, this thing almost didn't go, but again, I still have to believe that I had this idea for a reason and I want to pursue it and see what happens. So anyway.
What's your wife say now?
Well, it's funny. I just the other day, she now has a smile on her face, and the conversation has totally shifted because frankly, we didn't have the conversation. I knew what the conversation was going to be about. We have really good, we do have good communication. I don't want to make it sound like I denied my wife of having this conversation, but I just knew what it was about, and I wasn't ready to do it yet because I know that this thing has potential. We just had to get it to the right. So now that we know who our audience is, we've just been putting money behind it, and now it's starting to go, and it's been really exciting.
It's funny, it's the entrepreneur and the entrepreneur spouse. I just interviewed my wife this week. In regards to this, and I said, "What's it like being married to an entrepreneur?" And she was like, "I just sort of let you do your thing." And she doesn't get involved. She supports. And I asked her a question because there was a time that, if you don't know, you'll hear, where I not only did I lose everything, I went hundreds of thousands in debt. I decided not to do bankruptcy. I figured a way out. And I asked her, I said, knowing what we know now and knowing where we were, would you have wanted to know? Would you want me to have shared with you how bad things were? And she said, I didn't know. You kept it from me. And she said, actually, now I wouldn't have changed a thing. I was doing it to protect her.
Totally.
Because I didn't want to put extra stress on her. I figured I'd take all the stress. Do you do that too? Do you keep those things to yourself sometimes? Not to, because I hear different things from people saying, share everything with your spouse. And I'm like, I don't want to stress her out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In fact, to be honest with you, I've heard many times from entrepreneurs saying, you got to know your numbers. You got to know your numbers. Well, the thing is, I kind of had an idea what my numbers were, but I wasn't running them because I didn't want to know. And now that we're starting to gain more traction, I just pulled our numbers and I was like, wow, that's a lot of money, And it does create stress. Financial, let's be honest. If you're in a financial situation, you can't run. I feel like it's very difficult to run a business sometimes when you're that strapped, but although that's also kind of the driving force that we have as well, to just like you said, right? You knew where you were about to do it, but because you found a way around it, or you worked through that, you didn't have to file bankruptcy. Like you're in a better situation because of it. But if you weren't put in that position where you almost had to, would you have found a way, or would you have kept going?
You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. I mean, you can't Monday morning quarterback. You have what you did. You had what you came up with. You have where you are, or where you were. You have where you are today. And if you changed anything, would the story have changed? We don't know.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about entrepreneurs. And, one of the things that I teach a lot, and I know there's a lot of people talking about, you have to, if you want to sell something and bring it online, you have to find a group of people that are attracted to you. We talk a lot about, the book, Red Ocean, Blue Ocean. Finding something, that blue ocean, where people are dissatisfied with what they have, looking for something else. And it looks to me like you started to find that, and you're starting to attract the people and get it out there. What are you doing specifically? And if not, what should you be doing specifically in order to let more people know that this is available?
You bet. And so what's interesting is we're trying right now, we've reached out to a bunch of people who are influencers on Facebook, or who are just creating content. We're reaching out to them. Hey, can you do a review of our software? And they're doing that. Or it's like, how can I get on a podcast? How can I get on this other person's show? It's the kind of the Dream 100. And it's like, who can you align with that it's a good fit, that, you can just keep getting the word out. There's so many different avenues, right? People that write blogs, there's podcasts, there's YouTubers who are creating actual videos, right? It's just interesting that you just got to try to find where your dream clients are, right? Or your dream customers, depending on, who it is that you're trying to serve. find out where they're at, and then just try to put a sign in front of them, or basically let them see that you are there and that you're available. So does that answer your question? Sorry.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about the other night when we were out with my client is your software is unique in the sense that when you schedule a live, it doesn't have to pre-announce it. It can almost just go, it can go live as if you just went live. That's something I think very unique to what you offer.
Absolutely.
Why is that important?
You bet. So it's been really cool because, you know, once we launched and we started getting feedback from our customers, like, we're not saying, hey, this is the best solution and it's permanent. Meaning, like, you might come through, David, and say, you know what, for my audience, I need to be able to do X, Y, or Z. And it's nice to be able to say, okay, let's see what we can do to make that work. We had a customer reach out to us who they went live, they scheduled out 5 lives in a row. And the problem is, every time you'd schedule a live, it would put that notification in the news feed saying, hey, David's about to go live. Well, he's going to go live on Monday. He's going to go live on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then when you're doing all of those and kind of front loading your week, it confuses your audience of like, okay, well, which one should I tune into? Or, you know, so what we ended up doing is we made it so that you can send out the notification on day 1, but then hide the notifications for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And it's all in how you educate your customer or your audience, right? It's like, hey guys, I'm going to be coming to you live every single day at 5 o'clock this week. And you can, you know, preset that up on the first one. And then every day they'll get a notification like, hey, David's live, but it won't be in your news feed, but it'll still notify them like that you're going live, and then they can jump on and tune in. And it's just a really good way. Like Seinfeld was one of the most popular shows on TV. And Thursday at 7 o'clock, everyone that ever was into that show would tune in, because if you didn't, you missed it. And I feel like that's kind of what we have the ability to do right now online, is to be able to have our own shows. That's kind of what I've been telling people recently is, we're going to miss it if we don't realize that Mark Zuckerberg has given us either a news station in our pocket or a TV show, depending on what you want to do. But the fact is, you can pull out your phone. You don't even have, let's say you're in a bad area and you don't have good internet, but you have this idea for a message for your audience. You pull out your phone, you record it, you know, or maybe you're on vacation and you want to record a bunch of different videos there, but you don't want to go live that whole time that you're on vacation, but later you want to let those drip out. Just the flexibility of being able to record content easily on your phone, upload that to Live Pigeon, schedule when you want it to go live, and you're done. I mean, it's a really cool tool. It really is.
It doesn't get any easier than that. Any final thoughts to leave to our entrepreneur audience?
You bet. Let's see. I think, you know, what's interesting is just pursuing this in general. Like, have I been successful in everything I've pursued? I want to believe yes, because even though like things that might not have gone the way that we wanted them to, like they've molded me into where I'm at now, right? I've dabbled online. I've sold some products online. I've had ideas and I've been able to just see them through. And I think just the exercise of doing that and pursuing it. So for any of you that have an idea that you just want, like, well, I don't know if this would work. Like, you don't have to put hundreds of thousands of dollars behind it to figure out if it's going to be a good idea or not. Just try it. Try to pursue it. Like, I mean, I guarantee that David's going to give you amazing advice and things to try and to test. And as you go out and you do those things, like, that's how we get better. That's why we read books. That's why we go to school. That's why we watch videos. That's why we do all these things, right? To become better individuals, better people. And when we do that, and if we have if it's worth pursuing, we'll find out really quick. And then you just run after it as fast as you can to try to see how many people right now, this right now, it's interesting, but this is how many people can I serve right now? Like, there's so many people out there that I can actually serve. That's what I'm excited about. So I appreciate your time today, David. This has been super cool. And if there's anything else you have, let me know.
Well, if anyone wants to try it, we set up a special link where they can get 14 days free. Try livepigeon.net. trylivepigeon.net. So anyone who's watching this, go try Live Pigeon, go live, syndicate it out there. And Brandan, thank you so much for sharing. I do appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you live and in person next time.
Awesome. Thank you, David.
Thank you.